important issue. So this is the Science and Engineering Research Board website, and you can see this here. You check is everywhere they are showing COVID. This one, so they have the many project especially for COVID, because this time this topic was very important, and so then and few topics they can be important topic continuously. They can be important for many years, and this if you this particular topic, this one we are talking about, this may not remain the same important topic like of same importance after a few years or few months, but right now it is a very important topic. So then accordingly you can decide what kind of topic you take. So then the topic comes the next topic. So this is how to decide objectives. So to decide objective, first you have to select the topic, means area. You have to narrow down the area, which area you want to work on. And once you have decided that topic or you have narrowed down the area, so on that area, then you do the intensive research, this literature survey, and you try to find out what has been done and what has not been done. So then for this one, you can see this one. There are few reports available in optical conductivity behavior of SRSNO3 with different transition metal ion substitution. However, the dielectric relaxation has not been studied. Likewise, for this one, reports are available on acetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide stabilized allodope. This one, but this one has not been studied. So there are something which has not been studied or something totally new. Or other one says that oxalate method has not been used, or the next one says report on photovoltaic behavior are not available. So then you this did a intensive literature survey, and you establish what has been studied and what has not been studied, that you listed out. And accordingly your this literature survey, now you can set your objective. So whatever you found, accordingly you are just writing or repeating the sentences in another way to set your objective. So to investigate cetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide stabilize this, investigate pristine and erbium and yttrium doped nanostructures of SRSNO3 and BSNO3 by oxalate gel process, and investigate the effect of La and Fe doping and correlation with the structural properties and photovoltaic performance. So what you are doing here, and then next point says you are optimizing the performance. So what basically you are doing in setting your objective, that you are just filling the gaps which were available in the literature, and then or some of the studies you may repeat also to verify or to comprehend the study. So it can be comprehensive study, and then you check the this one uh, title. The title of this study was this synthesis and characterization of perovskite alkaline earth stenate nanomaterials for dyes and cellular cells. Just likewise we have the another study, this one. And so this one again you are trying to find out what are the points which are lacking. So like were few reports available on dielectric and magnetic investigation of double perovskite. However, chemical and hydrothermal process has not been used to synthesize these materials. So you found something new, unique, which has not been available in literature. So that means you can set that as your objective. Also, the electrochemical performance was not investigated. Then you found some characterization technique or some behavior which has not been investigated. That means that can be important point to investigate these kind of materials. And then the report on hydrothermal synthesis of this was not available. Report on theoretical calculation of this has been available. So experimental investigation has not been performed. That means this material has not been synthesized experimentally, but theoretical calculation is available. And report on hydrothermal synthesis of electrochemical behavior of these materials were not available. So then you did a deep or intense literature survey, and you establish few facts that some of the reports are not available, some of the properties have not been investigated, or some of the material has not been synthesized. So this is a part of the PhD investigation. So the objective has been set in detail. So you have a little bit higher objective than a master thesis. So the master thesis, that there's a objective can be little bit reduced, or there can be many master thesis out of this PhD thesis. So you can just shorten them out for this. So then what happens for the objective? So this is now to set the objective is very simple. So whatever you found there lacking, then you are just setting your objective accordingly, writing in the new language. To synthesize La2Cu MnO4O6, MnO6, La2Zn, MnO6, these different double perovskite via facile chemical hydrothermal soldiers, these processes. Then investigate structure, morphology, and porosity, fabricate electrodes, which has not been done before, and study the chemical parameter. Then ultimately you optimize the performance. So you uh, set all the objective according to your literature survey. So what you have done, I am summarizing. You have just narrowed down your area, first which area you want to work, and then you can just, before that deciding that, you can just explore various areas and what is of the importance. For example, I will give this one example here, how to decide the title or topic, that is so if, for example, if I am in Chandigarh, so if I say or I show you the some picture, so there are some tourist places which are very popular in Chandigarh, like a Sukna Lake or Rock Garden or Rose Garden. These are the popular places. So if I visit one of the place, for example, Sukna Lake, and I take one picture from there, and I post on this picture on my Facebook, then many guys will not be interested to see this picture. Because what is the reason? Because most of them, they know. Now I see the comment, I can't hear. Yeah, but everything looks like okay. So you please check it at your end. So what I was saying, like, so the picture may not be interested for many. So that, because what is the reason? The reason is because this place is very popular. So everyone knows about this. And if you go to the smaller place, like say Japanese garden, which is not that popular, and many people may not know here, or any other smaller place, and then you take the picture, which is obviously not that good quality or not that good looking or that beautiful like previous one, but that what is there, that is the novel, because that has a there is something new in that one. So whenever you decide a topic and you want to do the research, you always should worry about the novelty, if it is something is new or not. So the topic should not be old enough. For example, if you talk about somebody about the zinc oxide, then everyone has the understanding about the zinc oxide. Then little bit, whatever you are talking about to the person or who or she is talking about, then they think, okay, zinc oxide you are talking about. Then they know many things. The same thing happens with the reviewer. What new you have done? There are thousand papers already available. What new you have done? The novelty is the main topic. So you should worry about. So okay, then you can find that. Then after this, you can topic you have decided already. Then you can search the literature in that area, and then you can set your objective. And after the objective, you can carry out the further investigation, whatever you do. And if you want to know about this particular title, then title for this research was chemical synthesis of rare earth-based double perovskite nanocrystalline for structural, morphological, and electrochemical investigation. And those the all discussion whatever we have now, this is the real discussion, the real topic, real objective. This was nothing virtual here. So they have been the real topic, and research has been carried out on them. So then we have one research paper for discussion, and we have two research paper one, and then we will take this assignment at last. We'll discuss at last after this presentation is over. And then the next topic and the research comes, like you have written the paper and then you have written very beautifully, and then you are expecting that now your paper will be accepted because every graph and everything you did very well. You graph you plotted and then checked everything, it was good. You analyzed beautifully. So then afterward you are expecting that your paper will be accepted, or you will have at least the positive comment, and that many times that doesn't happen. So what to do in that case? That is not the only you that can happen with you. It happens with me also. It happens with everyone. So you write with so much of care, then you get those kind of comments, and sometimes those comments are not easy to handle. So what is the purpose of this section? The purpose is the way you write the paper, the importance you give to your paper. the comments, answering the comments on, or to write the review letter or the rebuttal, this to write this one is same importance. If you do not care about too much about the this reviewer's comments or that letter, whatever you are writing, and that even you have the very good research, the paper may be difficult in getting accepted. So how to handle those comments once you get them, and how to recognize the reviewer is difficult or easy, so how to handle accordingly to know, to judge, and then answer those questions. So when this one is the one format of this letter, how to write. So this one just give you overview, and then you should also remember that nothing should be plagiarized. You can write your own letter, and then the same thing will remain every time. Means the same, few things will change, but it should be yours. It should not be copied from somewhere. So it should, reviewers or editors should not feel that you are just copying from internet, and that even you cannot write that letter. And this is also not good to copy anything from any person. It's a plagiarism. So here you can see, thank you for giving us opportunity to submit. So the or this me or us, you are writing like you are single author or many authors. So you're writing in that way. Manuscript, you are putting the title, ID, general name. We appreciate your time and efforts, whatever this one you have written. Then B or I again is comes. You are single author or many authors. Whatever comment you are given, so in the whole letter or whatever you are responding, you should be tactful. You should be very diplomatic. You have to be very positive always. You have not to be angry in writing your comments. Even you feel whatever reviewer is talking about, that is not true. Reviewer may not understand your work. He may write something which may be wrong or may not be true. But that you cannot write directly to the reviewer that your this answer, whatever you are giving, that is wrong. That you cannot be rude. If you be rude in that way, that will only harm you. So that will yeah, you have to be tactful in that case. So then this case, what was the reviewer? This reviewer was not difficult. This reviewer was easy. So easy reviewer means the reviewer is trying to improve your paper. He or she is suggesting something, so the quality of the paper can be improved. He's not looking the paper in the way that he want to reject it, or he is not very much critical about the findings or anything. So then you can just copy this, and then you type your response here, and then you can say thank you for pointing out this. I or we, depending on when author saying we comment, this comment, we agree to the comment, we have the revised manuscript. Even you can give the page numbers or paragraph number. That is also considered good if you can give. But that is not necessary. But you can write like this, thank you for pointing out this, and agree strongly for that comment. But the same thing should not be repeated. So if when you write the second comment, you can write the comment here, then you can write your response. Then you can use smaller words like agree. There's no need to write a thank you for pointing this out and we agree to the comment. It irritates reviewer and editors if you every comment you copy the text and you write again and again. So the simple words like thank you or agree, that is good enough, and then you write that one whatever changes you have made. So again, you remember we are talking for the reviewer, which is easy reviewer. This is not difficult. So then again, in this case, this understood the reviewer is just trying to improve your manuscript. Is so then you can just copy this one and you can write we have incorporated your suggestions and whatever it was. So then same way you can just then you can write your signature or whatever this or the page number says or page number etc. You can write here. So in this case, whatever the discussion we had, discussion was about the reviewer is easy. Sometimes you can also have the indication if reviewer is easier or not. If the reviewer is giving to cite you some references, that this reference is good, and you have missed several references, you cite these references, that also indicate the reviewer is easy. So you can take in that case. So providing you many references and cite them. So that means most probably he is giving his own papers to cite. Is not always the case, but the most of the cases it is his or her own papers. So the reviewer is considered easy reviewer in that case. So then you can ask answer accordingly. And then we have the second reviewer. Okay, where reviewer is not understanding your work and he is commenting something which is not true, and you feel that reviewer is not understanding, and the answer you cannot answer to his comment. And if you answer that, it will be wrong. You cannot change your manuscript according to his comment. So in that case, you are not be angry. You have not to tell him or her fundamentals of your topic, that you do not understand fundamentals and this is wrong to say like this. You have not to say again this one. You have to be very polite, and you have to say you have raised an important point. Like this kind of words you have to use. Even you know the reviewer is not right, then also you have to write you have raised an important point. So you are not hitting his ego, his or her ego, and then you are writing however we believe that this will be more appropriate, because then you explain why do you think reviewer is not right, why he is wrong. Then you explain. So you start with the polite words that you have raised an important point, however we feel that it should be, and then you can just give the clarification why you do not agree with the reviewer. So that way you can handle this if the reviewer is not understanding your work. And the same thing is happening here. If he is not understanding your work, then you copy the same thing and do it. If you are doing some additional revisions which are not asked for and you have revised them, then you just clearly mention them, and then what we have done, you can write this, and then you can finish this by signature. If you is not, or not required, if you can write your name, that is also good. And then comes more points. Handling difficult reviewers. So every time author, when they read their comments, what they feel about the comment, the author think vaguely worded reviewer editor's comment or request. They feel that reviewer has not given, reviewer has not written this his questions very clearly. The requests are not vague; they are vague. They are not clear what you want to ask. Then, if you are feeling that way, the polite you can answer. You can get the response for that. Responding to requests will make the paper word count. This normally doesn't happen, but many times this can happen. You are writing a smaller paper. This is the word limit it has. So then you cannot cross that word limit. So then you have another option. Many options are available. So you can add these kind of extra questions, or you can answer them in the cover letter, whatever you are writing. The comment section, this response section, you can write, or you can have supplementary material, or you can, if it's not working that way and reviewer is asking you anyway to include, you cannot, still you cannot include, you can ask editor's permission. If editor agree, then you can include this, because this will, you can clearly mention that one, it will increase the word limit. So review statements are not true or requests are not possible, and then you have to clearly answer with the polite way. You have to be very very polite and diplomatic when you are writing this answer. You have to be tactful. You have not to be egoistic always, and you have to respect the ego of the reviewer. You have not to fight with him. Ultimately, it will harm you if you do anything. So then again, it's the editor's perspective. What editor think about the authors? Disorganized author response, difficult to follow change, and this is the what editor feel. So to avoid this, you always use some of the technique. If it's not clearly mentioned by the journal, then you can use boldface, whatever changes you are making, or you can change the color of the text, or you can even use the text changes. Many times it's given by the journal what you have to follow. And then this is the same thing what we discussed. Thank you very much. You should not use after every comment, every response. You should not use. You can use the this smaller words like thank you, agree. You should not use always the detail, like use one or two times is okay to use them. That the reviewer or editor, they feel happy if you write one or two times in the starting or end. So ignoring or not responding to request comment. Many times there are comments which you cannot answer them. So many times you may feel that let's leave this. No, rather than answering, just leave it. It's not good. Rather, you can point it out this why you do not understand and you are unable to provide answer. If you write you are unable to provide the answer for this, this is even better than ignoring that one. So if you feel that way, then you just decide what to do. Rude or insulting author responses, many times this is editor's perspective, and this is genuine perspective. This is many authors write that way, so they feel that way. This should not be that way. I already explained this. Ultimately, it harm you if you are not tactful and polite. Overly long author explanation. So many times you feel that two reviewers they ask the same questions. So if you have that kind of situation, There's no need to repeat the same answer. You can just point it out to the previous answer. And repeating the same response, this and grammatical and spelling error. And the reviewer has especially commented on your grammatical and spelling errors or for or English. Particularly, he's sensitive about those issues. Then you have to be more careful when writing the response letter, because if you make so many spelling mistakes or grammatical mistake in the response letter itself, it will be this means very bad for your this paper to be accepted, because the response letters gives the first this impression about your research. The reviewer will not read the paper again if he feels that you have not written a very good response letter. There are so many mistakes. You will feel you have not been careful in reading the manuscript. And then there may be one more clue. This is the minor revision, most of the cases, and this is my major revision. So depending on that comment, how the editor has graded it, is a minor or major. So if it's a major revision, normally in all the cases, editors send it to the same reviewers again to review until they disagree to review it. Then only he try to find a new reviewer. Otherwise, the paper is sent to the same reviewers for the review, second review. And if it's a minor revision, normally editor himself or herself decide that it should be accepted or not. So that way you can take care of the more comments, how to answer, how to handle the reviewer or editor, because minor revision, generally they are not sent to the this referees again. They are decided with the editor. And the major revisions, mostly or almost, they are sent to the revision, this reviewer again. So then comes the another problem which you feel in the review comments, which is the to do the additional experiment. Many times the reviewers, they suggest that to you that you have to do this additional experiment. So then and then what is the case then if you have no facility to do those experiments, or you don't want to perform, or you have to spend a lot of money, so you may feel that way. So then you have the certain situations where you have to decide. So the first question is, are the suggested experiment fundamental to proving your argument? So this you have to decide that whatever your hypothesis you are making in the paper, is that experiment necessary to prove that hypothesis? If it's necessary, then you have to, or you may have to perform that experiment. Still you have no facility to perform and you have another constant, then you can just write in the response letter that you do not want to do that, that you have aligned your conclusion, you have changed your conclusion or abstract or experimental valid to match the validity, whatever experiment you have performed, to match with that you have modified your conclusions, as you are not having the facility to use this experiment. So it still is saying your answer is saying that you have done the significant changes in the paper to meet whatever comments this editor or reviewer has made. To meet that comment, you have made the significant changes in the paper, and that may not be very much negative. It can be accepted as a logical comment. And then the second one, will new experiment add weight to the conclusion? So then you have some of the conclusions you have already made. So if the suggested experiment just add the weight, it becomes more clear. If you do the new experiment, whatever been suggested, so it supports this conclusion. So you have to decide. And then you have to, again, this is the second stage, is not that important, but it is every experiment suggested is important, but this is the second case is not that important, because it's a secondary experiment which again support the conclusion. So in that case, you can just comment that study limitation or discussion this revised manuscript, you can include this, because this you think that conclusion are already very clear with the supported experiments. You do not need to change any conclusion because of this. So then you can just, and if you are too much worried about this, normally this is not a big issue. If you are too much worried, you can ask for the general editor, because you can just explain this. You have already done sufficient experiment to verify your point. So this experiment is no more required. Still, you can modify. Still, we have taken the care of this text, and we have modified and revised the text to include the reviewer's point. So it is not hurting his or her ego. So then you are becoming tactful. So that is, I mean by being tactful and diplomatic. So then comes the suggested action. Few reviewers or editors, they are just thinking that whatever they are doing, they are performing their own research. Those experiments are very important, and they suggest those experiments. For example, you are reviewing some paper and you do XPS every day. Then and every paper you write, uh, you perform the XPS study for this. This will give you oxidation states information, and this will be very good study for this paper. So you write those kind of comments because you do XPS every day and you have the facility. So few reviewer have that tendency. If they have some instrument, they write those comments because they are performing every day. They think this is an interesting experiment. So if the suggested experiment is just interesting, is not required to support any conclusion or any argument, and then you can just write that one in your paper that this suggested experiment is interesting. This will give all information. You can modify your paper accordingly, and you can just write that this suggested experiment will be taken care of in the future, and you can just clarify this suggested experiment is interesting, but it doesn't support your conclusion anything, and you don't have the so you write tactfully this answer. So you can avoid that way. You can avoid to perform the new experiment. And this is again the extend the word count or graphical limits, whatever we talked about. So in that case, you have the several options. Okay, so don't increase the word limit without taking the editor's permission. So if editor thinks that is okay, then you can write. So they can write in response letter. You can add a supplementary file, and you have the addition if the editor approves. So that choice you have. So as a junior researchers, you have several options available. For senior researchers, this whole presentation may not be very good, but it was only targeting the junior researchers. So because again, his slide says that for the junior researchers as well, to work with your colleagues. So the colleagues can help if you are junior researchers. You can make your response letter clear and concise, answer all requests and questions as briefly as possible, be polite, diplomatic, and not defensive. So defend something and be defensive, both are different things, and you have to understand the difference between two. So you should not feel defensive. You have to defend anything which is written there, but you have not to be defensive. So that is also important point. And invite peers, advisor. Then you have junior researchers. So you as a junior researcher, you are very having many options. So senior researcher, you already have experience, so nothing is required. So and then you have to ultimately you have to remember editors and reviewers are nearly always right. So whatever you feel, that is up to you, but whenever you answer for any comment, you have to answer in a way that editors and reviewers are nearly always right. This you have to keep in mind. So, and then uh, you should not hurt the ego. You have to respect every comment, and you have to take every comment positively, not like angrily or anything. If you have you show that kind of anger or anything in your response letter, it will only harm you. So that we already discussed. So this was the discussion, and now I can uh, first discuss the problems we had to the two papers. So maybe we can discuss the paper, and then I can take some questions.